Welcome to Stutter Chats. This is our ninth episode today. I am your co-host Matthew. We have our other co-host,
Brandon Davis, what's going on, y'all? What's going on?
and today we have a special guest, a person that we know personally, someone that's part of our NSA group here in Miami. Um, with honor, we have our friend Jorge Bermudez. How are you, Jorge?
Hello, Matthew and Brandon. Thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate the honors to be part of this. I've been following you guys online. I see the stuff that you guys do. Great job. I love the voice that you guys bring, the light into our world. So, I just want to put that out there. Great job. Fantastic job, actually. Keep it up.
Appreciate that, George, man. Like we always do, we always ask questions to our our person that joins our podcast. We ask them a total of 5 questions, and then one final question, so a total of 6.
Love it.
Um, let's just start off. Especially, what do you do for work? I know you work in this corporate world. I know you work on remote. I want to try to focus on the remote and working in person. So,
Love it.
goes that up.
Thank you. So, yes, I'm a senior process analyst for a company called UKG. What UKG does is they sell HCM. For people who don't know what HCM stands for, it's human capital management software to companies. Big example is Walmart. So how Walmart gets paid, their payroll systems. My company provides their payroll, does your taxes, does, the time off, weekly times, everything. So our software is what they leverage to pay all of their employees. They're a huge company, obviously. So, ton of Walmarts across the United States. In that world, what I do specifically is I am an internal process analyst. I work with internal teams and cross-functional teams to ensure that any new investments that internally you want to buy to improve the company, the product or the software within the company, I oversee that process and I ensure that all of the teams that need to be part of that new investment actually, do their checks, verify that we're good to go. I have a cross-functional role with all of those, different team members. And it's all about talking, a lot of, introducing, a lot of relationship building, a lot of meetings, a lot of meeting different, teams to make sure that everything's being met. So that's my high view of what I do, apart from obviously reporting. I present processes, automation, all those, cool little things that you could do as an analyst. I am sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, yeah, George.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that if I can explain what I do in one word, I'm a 4x4. I go on all terrains. I can do finance, I can do budgeting, I can do, processing, I can do architectural work, like everything. So that's just pretty much overview, of my role within corporate.
A man of many skills.
Try. I've tried. I've acquired them through many years of painful and deliberately learning those skills, and my assets.
So awesome. Sounds like logistics, being able to necessarily put what you need in the right places. Question for you. In these meetings that you have to necessarily make sure everything is in the right place, what strategies do you use when you're having these meetings, especially when it's a large group of people?
Great question. So let me take a step back. I've been doing these meetings for 4 years, and I've kind of molded myself different in each of those 4 years. So at first, I was excited. Oh, I'm doing a meeting. And then, like any person who stutters, then it became a reality. Like, you got to do these meetings, and you got to lead them, and it's 25 people. You better be reading what you're reading right, So at first, I was very anxious about it. I would, have my normal Sunday night to Monday morning anxieties of like, oh my God, tomorrow I got the meeting. It's at 1 p.m. and oh my God, I don't want to do this. But the preparation came more of, it got to a point that it was so overwhelming for me that I said, that's it. I'm done with the overwhelming. I'm done with the, like I'm anxious. It got to a point that before the meeting or the day before the meeting, I would measure myself on how fluent I was that day to say how well I'm gonna speak the next day. And I was like, okay, I have a good Sunday, I'm very fluent, so tomorrow I'm gonna have a good day. It was very weird. It was a very awkward thing to do. Then about a year ago, I would say, when my daughter was born, well, more or less, or a little bit less, I said, that's it. F it. I'm gonna tackle this head on first. Just actively work on it, because I've always been of the mindset of like, oh, acceptance and this and just understanding. But I said, there's has to be, because I see on YouTube people who, improve to the point that it's barely, noticeable. And they always tell you on YouTube, hey, I did this, this, this. I was able to do it. I came across this two gentlemen, Michael Williams, one of them, the Pro 90 speech coach. And then I came across another guy called Marcus Lab. And what I liked about their approach was not, we're selling you something or buy a course and in 2 months you'll be cured. Is, I'm going to give you a new way of seeing speech. I'm going to give you a new way of speaking. I'm going to teach you all these techniques. It will take you up to a year, 2 years, maybe 3, but you've been stuttering for 30 years. I think you can sacrifice 2 years of your life doing this course to then have another 30 years of your life or 40 years of your life having a peace of mind that you're good. So I've been actively working on improving my speech. I read every night consistently about like 30 minutes out loud, where I do different types of verbalizations. What could I say? I play with my, vocal cords. I play with my gestures. A technique that I like to do is I record myself and then I look it backwards, because when you record yourself, you disconnect yourself from the stuttering. You just see it, and then your brain kind of understands, wait, what's going on here? And when you're speaking very fluent recording, your brain is ingesting that information, seeing you speak very fluent. So the next time that you're going to speak, our brains are wired to pick up memories. That's how we work. Like, I know I have to go to the bathroom because I went to the bathroom an hour ago, but I've been doing that my whole life. So it's just based on memories. Like, I know bathroom is for me to go to do number one, whatever. The speaking is the same way. So I pick memory bank. So I'm filling my memory bank with very fluent moments of me speak, and I'm over feeding it. And then I'm trying to get it of both moments of me getting stuck or me doing the blink, like I'm depleting those. I'm saying, okay, that's like a memory. That's like a long time ago. And it's going well. I've been doing very good. Like, I feel that now the meetings, I would say about 6 months ago, I also joined another group setting through Michael Williams, where it's, it's like a Toastmasters. And I've been really actively trying to, you go there, you present in front of 18 people every time you do it, once a week. And I've just gotten, like, my way of presenting in those meetings that you were asking about has exponentially improved. Like, and they're recorded, awesome, so I can see myself. And I'm like, wow, because now I just slow down, I breathe, I talk. Like, I don't think about how to talk, I just do it. And it's because I've been practicing like crazy.
No, of course, bro. And like,
Here's your question, Brandon.
No,
Congrats,
definitely.
bro, definitely. Practice.
You could definitely see it, man. You could definitely see it as I met you probably 5 years ago here, and man, one my honest opinion, man, honestly, like, I have yet to see you do a stuttering episode here in front of me, bro. So, bro, I give you props. Whatever you're doing, bro, it's working, man. I want you to be encouraged with yourself, be proud of yourself, man. And what you're doing, leading a team of 25 people, man, it's tough, man. It's not easy. And
appreciate that.
And you're just that, like, I just want people to see from this video, like, okay, look, I have this guy from George from Miami, or he could do it, I could do it. And you just being an inspiration to many people. And I give you
That's
props
all.
for that.
That's all.
That's all we need, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. That is it. That's exactly it. Great words, Matt. Like, that's exactly what I think. Like, I was tired of watching YouTube and seeing people, I could do it. And I'm like, why can't I do it? Like, F it. Like, I want to be that guy too. Like, I want to be the guy who one day, and it's just got to, like, it became exhausting to always be fearful of the next, because to track it back a little bit, I'm also a covert stutterer. Like, I try to avoid it, like there's people who are more open about it, and I'm proud for them. Like, hey, hats off, like hats off to you. But I just tend to be a covert stutterer. Like, I just personally, I like to like hide it, I'll look away, or too much look away. Maybe I'll pick my words, I want to say this, but I say this word. I might stuck, so let me say this other word. And I said, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Like, it's just mentally holding to think that way. So I said, let me just try to really actively, work on it. And like anything in life, I love basketball. I've actively been trying to improve my basketball, and I know I'm an okay player. Like, now, in all honesty, okay player. Okay, yeah. I don't like that hand, Brandon. Put it down. Put it down. Put the hand down.
I heard you sounding more cocky earlier, bro. Don't say you're
because
okay
now I'm being honest.
Oh, bro.
But I actively work on it, and I told myself, if something like basketball that I love so much, I work on it, why am I not going to work on my speech? That's something that is a part of me. I've also came across a series of books that has really opened up my mind on how to approach my speech, my personality, my identity. One of them is called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you guys read it. If you haven't, 100% recommend it. Like, everyone who I meet, you have to read that book. It's life-changing. To summarize, one of the key points in the book is there's something called identity, right? So you identify as. The book says, if you identify as a smoker, right? When someone goes to ask you, and you're quitting smoking, when someone goes to ask you, hey, do you want a cigarette? Instead of saying what a smoker would say, no, I'm quitting smoking, you're still identifying yourself as a smoker. You say, no, I don't smoke. I just don't smoke anymore. Translates to stuttering. I am not a stutterer. I am a person who has stuttering moments. Coupling has been mind-blowing for me, because now I don't drag that shamefulness of like, oh, okay, this is my normal me. I'm stuttering again because I'm a stutterer. I've decoded my personality and how I see myself, and I'm just someone who speaks fluent, who has moments of stuttering. That's simple.
That's a good way to see it.
Yes.
Yep. Question for you: how did you get to that moment? Because granted, it's different spectrums of, I guess, levels of acceptance when it comes to that. So how did you get to that moment?
Great question. I got to the moment due to a mix of tiredness, exhaustedness of everything, and I said there has to be a better way. And I'll tell you, yes, in the spectrum of stuttering, I might fall in the mild category, but I dangle myself in moments of severe. Like, there's moments, and I have clear vision, and I wanted to talk to that. Like, in the corporate setting, I've had moments where I put a foot in severe, and then I go back to, like, being more subtle. Like, and I'll give you an example. One time, and I think everybody who stutters, one of my most embarrassing moments is, and one of my most scariest moments is when someone's asking you, what's your name? You can't lie about that.
Yeah, that's
you
hard.
Can't fake it. You can't say my name is Roger, because you're not Roger. So you have to say your name as it is. And it's very hard to get tricks around that. Now I do have ways around it. If I haven't been caught off guard anymore, they've asked me, what's your name? And I say, my name is actually Jorge Bermudez. Like, there's ways around it. But in that moment, I just had you got to push through the word and say your name. I get introduced to my ex vice president of the company with my senior director next to me. Nobody knows I stutter, by the way, and nobody still knows I stutter in the company. I haven't spoken to anybody about it. And he's next to me, and so is my manager. And my senior director says, "Hi, I'm X, whatever." It's me. I short circuited. Like I couldn't say it was, I was blinking. I was like, for a good 10 seconds. So imagine, see, and the guy in front of you looking at you, and he's like, okay. And then my senior director saw me struggling. Like I was like blinking, and it was like a really, really bad moment for me. And he said, "So this is how you..." And then it was a joke that it became like they pay it off as, "Oh, in the company, I go as George or Jorge." So I said, "Oh, I just forgot to call myself George or Jorge, and I didn't know what to say." But like I was telling Matt before, it was totally because it was a lie. I should have just said, "Hey, look, I stuttered. Okay, I'm sorry." But it became a whole thing. So these little moments inspired me to go and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to improve on my speech, get there, open up, read everything I can." And you know this, Brandon. I've known you now, like 8 years now. I am an avid reader of anything that has to do with stuttering. I love to understand it. I love to know what's the reason for it, and just get down to the bottom line. Okay, what is the reason for it? How can we? What are the processes? Like that's how my mind works. And I hope I answered your question. I don't think I went too much into a tantrum.
Listen, you're good, man. I'm gonna kick it back over to my boy Matthew.
Yeah, so bro, funny thing you said about your name, because one thing we usually ask our interviewers, what's that one word that everybody gets stuck in? And I'm seeing a trend, man. Everybody's saying their names, and I'm sure has to be some type of study out there about this, man, because everybody that stutters has the same issue, or like close to the same issue of saying their names. But we're gonna bounce it back into your job world. I know we talked earlier, and you said that your work is remote and also in person.
Yep. Hybrid.
Hybrid, yeah. The question is pretty much, how does working at home or working at the office, how does it differ in how you communicate and stuttering? Is there much more pressure when you are in Zoom, or is there more pressure in person? Because I know there's people out there that prefer have an interview in person or have an interview on Zoom. It's because I just want to see, how do you do those meetings? Like,
I do all my meetings in Zoom. Well, Teams for us, because that's our internal tool. I do everything in Teams. I would say that it's a little tolling to go in person for someone who stutters and to convert, because you have to, kind of like play always the fine line of like, what am I going to do or how to do this. Since about 3 months ago, since I started to do that Toastmasters, a lot better, and my mind is a lot clearer when I go to the office. Just so you know, I do 2 days at home, 3 in the office. At home, my wife works next to me, so it's fine. No biggie. We're on calls. We just schedule calls around each other. But in the office, when I'm there, then it becomes a little more complicated, because now you have to do the small talk. You have to do the talking to people, asking about their things, the lunch, where you're eating lunch with them, like talk, like it's consistently talking. However, one of the things that I've learned to do is I've redirected my negative thoughts towards positive thoughts. And I'm going to give an example. Pre me coming down this journey of improving my speech and my self person, and just overall how I am as a person, I used to always think to the office, oh my God, here we go, the small talk. Asking the small questions was the hardest for me. What are we having for lunch? Did you have this? Or where are we going? Like these little things, where's where I slip the most? Because those meant no meaning for me. Like this is just small talk. So my brain, I don't know why, when it becomes me talking about something that I have passion about, I am very fluent. My words just flow. Like in the zone. But when it comes to small talk, it's irrelevant and it's just hard for me. Like, I have a hard time just doing the small talk. So, not to bore you with details, and I'm sorry, I went a little rant there. I kind of got lost in my thought process. When it comes to the office space, the thought process. Now I actually look at it from, instead of a glass half empty, I'm a glass half full person now. So now I say, you know what? I go to the office and I get to practice my new stuff that I've been practicing all weekend at home. I get to practice the small talk. And that shift in mindset has been life-changing for me, because now I go into the office excited to talk to people, to do the small talk, to, hey, let's, and I make it a joke. I try to diffuse the seriousness of me stuttering with, okay, if I stutter, then I do a little stutter, but overall, I know that I can get back in track and I'll be fine. And it's become a lot easier seeing it from that perspective than the, oh my God, here I am again in the office. I hate this. I hate, like our brains have a weird way of, if you're excited about it, it won't really punish you with the stuttering. But if you hate it and if you go with a negative mindset, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I got a question for you, because you do a ton of presentation. How do you handle moments of stuttering while presenting or unexpected, necessarily questions? Because once again, covert, and it may slide up on you, say, for instance, so how do you handle those moments?
What I usually do is I try to play it off and I make it very quick. They're subtle and they're not they're rare, but I've had a few moments where I'm presenting, and just so you know, what I present is, I have like a table. I have to read off the table and I ask the teams where their stuff is, right? So, like, read the number, like it's like a name. You can't fake your name. The same thing. We're looking at the same number, all of us. So I have to read the number. So I've had moments of, couldn't say, 479. So what I do is, to avoid getting into that trap, I open myself to many possibilities of saying it differently. And that way, my brain doesn't feel like it's trapped, and personality doesn't feel like I'm trapped, which would trigger me getting into like a block, because I'm like, okay, I only have to say, I could only say the word Jorge, or I can only say the number 1480. That's the way I say it. No, I just say, so we're looking here at, and if I feel a stutter about to pop up, I just say, I'm sorry, yes, so number 1480, that's one. Or actually, number, yeah, I'm sorry, my eyes are a little squinty, I'm a little tired, in this correctly, and I get out of it like that. So to work on it, what I do is I just open up a lot of doors, and my brain says, okay, we're not stuck with one door. We have this door and this door and this door. And while that's happening, your brain kind of says, okay, we don't have to stress out. We're fine. We're good. That's how I get across, and that's how I get away from those moments of stuttering in a presentation. Now, mind you, I've had moments where they told me, hey, present. We need to present. I need to present. It was the other day, I think. It was like 2 weeks ago. I had to present like 20 people. They were auditors, and they were like, what do you do? Because they're trying to do some stuff internally. And what do you do? And I had to, be like, take a deep breath. Started the presentation. What I tend to do that's been very helpful for me is to start very slow and let me pick the pace, not let the person who's listening to me dictate what I think he wants me to hear me at. Because that's what we do. We think that people want to hear us back fast. We think that people need to receive your reply quick. Like, he needs me to tell him exactly now what my name is. No, he's be like, what's your name? Don't worry. Like, you can take your time. And I've learned to take my time.
Definitely. And just going back and just having that connection to basketball back again. Like how you said it earlier, how you're the point guard. You control how the flow goes.
That's exactly it. You hit it right on the head with that one.
And then that's how you should see it. And bro, that's a good way to approach it. But I know you talked about earlier about you being a father, 1-year-old child that you have. There's a question I want to hit on this. How has studying influenced the way you communicate with your children, and what lessons you want to pass down to them?
So I'm going to answer that question in different levels.
For sure, definitely,
First,
man.
impacting me personally. Then I'm going to answer like how I approach it, and then I'm going to answer like the future. So how it impacted me personally, when I first had my daughter, she's now 20 months old, so almost 2 years. People who want to do math, about 2 years, year and a half. Thank you.
Giving a proud father. She's 20 months old and 1 day and 9 minutes. Look
yeah,
at you.
exactly. Someone told me, dude, why am I doing math? Like, stop making me do math. Like, stop it. But yes, she's 20 months old, or almost 2 years, I'd like to say too. When she first came to the world, the excitement of me having a baby overrode the stuttering. And I remember, because I've always had like, stuttering is like a friend too. It's like an annoying friend that never leaves you. He's always there, and you just like, dude, leave me alone. He's like a maniac who's just always talking. Look at this, look at this, look at this. And you like, he should be like interned somewhere. But so at first I was so excited that stuttering just kind of disappeared from my mind, from my like mind frame. But it came back aggressively because lack of sleep. Lack of sleep affects the way you think. The way you think, you lose control, and your speech gets impacted. Everything gets impacted, obviously, because you sleep bad. Like I was sleeping like maybe like 3 hours a day, maybe 1 hour sometimes. It was really rough. It's like being in the army, but without, the fun of being in the army. It really impacted me hard at first, and that's why backtracking when I tell the story of how I started to actively work on my speech, it's because when my daughter came, I saw that I needed to like somehow, and I didn't know how long it was going to be. People told me, oh, it could be 2 years of sleeping bad. So I said, I need to actively work on my speech, because if not, I'm going to just fail. My job, like, I don't know, I had all these insecurities, and, I probably would have been fine. But, my brain went to the glass half empty kind of scenario. So that's one. Second, how that has shifted my speech personally, great. Third, and this is the one that I wanted to touch base on, I'm very conscious of my daughter's speech, because I know this could be translated into, like, this could be genetic. So I have my eye always on how she speaks. For now, I have not seen I haven't seen any signs of her gravitating towards stuttering. However, I do see sometimes a little few things that has me on like, okay, I gotta measure, and I have to like keep an eye on that. Like she like coughs to like talk. Wow. Like, and I'm like, whoa, why is she coughing? And I know that I've known stutterers because I've been in the sauce for a while, and I've been in the game, in the stuttering game for a while. There's many different stutterings, and one of them is coughing. And actually, when I was a little kid, backtrack, when I was like I was like 7, 8 years old, there was a life where to get words out, I would kick the floor, literally, physically kick to see if I can get, like, it was really bad. And then there was another period where I had this thing in my eye where before I started to talk, yes. So I'm trying to see if that repeats itself and if she's getting that from me. For now, she's only almost 2 years, so I don't think that. But I explained this to my wife, and she said, relax. If she does stutter, she has the best father to guide her through that, which is another stutterer.
Yes, sir.
And you are going to get her to the next level, and we'll be able to, because nobody wants their kid to stutter. Like, you want your kid to be as normal as possible. However, if it does happen, then it happens, and you deal with it. That's fine. But that is my mind frame around parenting and my specific case with my daughter and her being a possible stutterer, which for now it's a no, but that's how I'm going to approach it. Like, okay, then don't worry. We got all these 20 different things. And I know that if you tackle it as a kid, there's a high probability that it won't develop as an adult. So yada, yada, yada.
George, I got a quick question for you. Is there anybody else? Is there anybody else in your family that stutters or no?
My dad has a little bit of disfluencies, but it's not. So stuttering is a very strange way of calling yourself. People don't really know they stutter until they know they stutter, if that makes sense. So a lot of people that you might know in your life stutter, and you're like, oh, you stutter. But in their mind, they're like, no, I just have this fluency. I'm a perfect speaker. So they never even thought about it that way. I know people close to me who do stutter, and if you ask them, they're like, what's stuttering? It's just how I speak. I just, I do this, but that's it. Like, they don't consider themselves stutterers. And I would say my dad maybe falls in that category. Maybe I got it from him, but I think I developed the stuttering myself because I don't know anybody else who stutters. I wasn't being open. My mom just saw that I had these fluencies, and they were quite severe when I was a kid. And she took me to a therapist, and they all said, yeah, he stutters. And they didn't know why. Obviously, now we know why. Like, there's a bunch of studies. You can ask Angela. She knows a bunch of things. So there's studies for that. However, nobody in my family directly stutters, but I do see my dad is from him. But I think in my case, it's just me. I'm the unlucky charm, or maybe the lucky one. You see it. Depends how you see it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And bro, oh my bad. No, let Brandon go.
No, because I was thinking about myself, Matt, as well. I'm gonna pitch it to you as well, because my grandmother stutters. It skipped a generation. It came to me. It skipped a generation afterwards, and my cousin that has a kid, her daughter necessarily stutters, so it skips every other in my family.
So it skips a generation. Funny enough.
Yeah.
Wow. I never seen that.
So that's what. Yeah, it skips a generation, then it hits that generation. Skips a generation, then hits that generation. So, but Matt, how about you?
I just want to comment that in my family, I have yet to see somebody, probably my uncle, but he just talks super fast. But like how we're going based off, I feel like the older generation doesn't know what stuttering is, and they don't have.
Yes.
Like,
exactly.
It's not their fault that they don't know what stuttering is because they are not taught what that was. Lucky for us, our generation, we do know what stuttering is. It's a speech impediment. And we do know how it looks like. It could look different. It could look how everybody's stuttering is different. But it's just not knowing when you have a stutter because you don't know what stuttering is. That's how I see it. And lucky for us, we do know what it is, and that's the reason why we are. I think reason why we know what it is, and we're advocating about it, and that's what our generation brings into the studying community, and that's the reason why for this podcast. I started this podcast just for our younger selves that didn't know much about it until we learned about it many years later, and just one final question, man. Just one final question. Just one question asked everybody. If you give one advice about stuttering, about anybody that stutters, what will you give that advice for?
Myself or anybody?
Anybody.
About stuttering? Like, just asking, hey, my advice?
No, like, what's your advice to that person that stutters?
Okay, that's a good question. It's a very good question, actually. I would say... Sorry, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Or even somebody coming up, like a college kid, because we're all of the age of 30 and up. College kid that's going through it, struggling. Like,
you want to get deeper. Yeah. What if your child comes up to you, Dad, I need advice?
Correct, 100%.
It's not life-ending. That's what I would say. This is not life-ending. There is ways around it. There is mechanisms to get better. Do you want to get better, or are you okay where you are right now? Now, that's the question I would ask. And the person says, well, I want to get better, but I don't know how to get better. That's a fair answer. Then I would say there's countless ways to get better, and I would show them obviously what I do and how I improve. Then this is what I would do. But to summarize it, and not to go too deep, because I know we've been, a little over time.
Yeah, that's fun.
I would say that one, there is a solution to it. You just have to work at it, like anything in life. And when I mean a solution to it, I don't mean like, oh, you're going to be fluent. You're going to be the next speaker of the United States. I don't mean that. I'm saying you can get to a point through hard work where you feel that the input that you're giving is giving you an output that makes you feel better. So the effort that you're putting into it will yield an output that will make you feel comfortable with yourself. And there is a point that you can get comfortable. You just first have to be patient, put in the time, and be consistent. Just consistency is everything. And then you can tie that back to, do you see people who are bodybuilders? Do you think they got overnight to where they are? No, they consistently went to the gym when it sucked, when it was, when they didn't want to go to, when they had no energy, and they still keep going. And at the end, you see the result, which is an amazing physique. You could be a great speaker. Doesn't mean that you're going to be a cured stutterer. Like, you might stutter, but you can get better at it. Just be patient, work at it, and there's a solution. Now, if you feel comfortable, learn to live with it. Learn to understand that this is just part of you. Stop the fighting. No one's fighting. The only fight is you against you. Stop it. No need to fight. Learn to coexist with it. Learn to be part of it. Learn to understand why you're stuttering. That's a big thing. Like, people don't understand why. And I think that's a frustration of, like, why does this happen to me? Is it genetics? Is it why? The why. The why doesn't matter. The why doesn't matter. Like, understand that the why is, it just happened to you. So what are you going to do? Yeah. And I leave it with that. That's what I would tell somebody, helps that person.
Yeah. And just going based on that, we had an interview, not one of our first two interviews. Her name was Captain Paraki. And one thing she said, her advice was like yours, but how she said it was straight to the point. And it was like saying, our goal is not to be fluent, our goal is to be understood.
Wow, that's good. I like that, actually.
And that's it.
It's a great statement.
That's what it was.
You can apply to languages. You know any language? Yeah. I don't care to be a good German speaker. Can you understand me in German?
Exactly.
So yeah, I love that, actually. That's
awesome. Yeah, man. Highly recommend, if you have a time. Her podcast was awesome, bro. Check it out. Her name is Captain Paragi. She's a MMA fighter. MMA fighter.
Yes, I saw it. I didn't see but I started seeing it. I watched it while I was doing I remember this is very, she husband understands her, and her, I think, also Stutter. Like, yeah, okay, I'll finish it. So that's my bad. I should have finished that episode. Started watching it. That's
good. At least I had you there watching it for a couple minutes. Sorry,
no, more than minutes. I was there. It was like a 30-minute episode, and I think I watched like 20. And just at the end, I was like, oh, I had to do something else, and I forgot to go back to it. You know how our brains are scatterbrains nowadays.
Yeah. But I just want to say, appreciate you coming on, man, George. You've been part of I've known you for the past 5 years, and I appreciate always having your knowledge there. I always saw you as somebody I look up to in the studying community, such as Brandon too. And
thank you.
And appreciate taking your time, and thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you, Matt.
Hold up, Matt. Hey, George, you ain't tell me you had 3 kids, man.
Oh, I get a vasectomy, and I'll say it publicly. I don't care. I only have one.
I see
my dog kids?
I see 2. Yeah, I see 2 kids on the floor. Matter of fact, wait a minute. You see? Look at all them kids, man.
There's 3 of them. And he's giving her a bath because he's just, he's that guy. Yes, I do have 3 kids and a baby. So, crazy. Don't do it, guys. If you ever have kids, don't have afterwards. Just stupid. It's just stupid. That's all I can tell you.
Well, appreciate you, bro.